Hello, and welcome to Plants and Python. My name is Alejandra Rougon, and I am a professor at the Agrogenomics Department at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM campus en Es León. In this lesson, you will learn about the hierarchical architecture of Linux directories, how to print your working directory, how to change among directories, how to write absolute and relative paths, and how to create directories and list their contents. Linux directory or folder structure is hierarchical, and referencing directories is accomplished by using the sequentially deeper directory name connected by forward slashes. For example, the folder project1 is inside my docs, which is at the same time inside the folder home. To reference its location, we use /home/mydocs/project1. This location reference is called a path. There is a symbol called prompt that appears in the terminal when the system is ready for a new request. Depending on the shell that you're using, your prompt symbol will vary. For example, for Bash, the prompt is a $sign, and for C shell, the prompt is a %sign. If you're logged in as root, which is the main system administrator, you will have a hash as a prompt. Okay, now let's go again to your virtual terminal. First, we need to know in which folder are we standing. What is the path to our current working directory? And for that, we use the command pwd in our terminal. Remember that the $sign is already in your terminal. You don't have to type it in. After you click Enter, the path of your working directory will be printed on your screen, which is /root/sandbox. That means you are in the sandbox folder that is inside the root folder. Now let's change directory. In order to move to a directory which is inside the directory you are working in other words, in order to move to a directory that is forward, you have to type the command cd space and the directory's name. So let's go to the directory documents that is inside sandbox. So we type cd documents, enter, and if we don't see any errors, we will be inside the directory documents. Let's verify it by printing the new working directory with pwd. If you want to move one folder backward, that is to say, the directory that contains your current working directory, you have to type cd space ... And again, we can verify that we are actually in the sandbox folder with pwd. In Linux, we can reference a file or folder location either through an absolute path or a relative path. Imagine that you want to give a friend the instructions to get from your home to the supermarket. So you start, go straight, then in the traffic lights turn left, and in the lamppost turn right, and you will reach the supermarket. This would be similar to an absolute path, which starts from the first directory on your system that is called root, and it is represented by a slash. Now imagine that your friend is lost and calls you from the lamppost. You won't give her the same directions. You will start from the lamppost and not from your home. So you will probably say, turn right, and you will reach the supermarket. That would be similar to a relative path, which starts from your working directory. For example, if you are in the folder project1 and want to move to the folder mydocs, to move there using the absolute path, you would start from root with a slash, then home/mydocs. And with the relative path, you would only type cd space ... which means go one folder backward relative to the current working directory. Now let's move backward to the folder named root, using the absolute path. So we do this with cd space /root. Then we verify it with pwd to check that we are actually in /root. Remember that everything on your Linux system is located under the directory represented by a single slash only, which is also called root. So let's go to the system's root directory to see what is inside. So we type cd space /. and with pwd, we can see we are at the very beginning of our system's hierarchical directory tree. Now we type the command ls to list the directory contents. You can see that there are many folders. However, all these folders are important systems directories, which we are not allowed to modify unless you have administrator permissions. Remember that the main administrator user is also called root. In your virtual terminal, you only have permission to modify files and folders that are in your home directory. That is why the File Tree section doesn't show the folders that are before your home directory. In another lesson, we will see how to change permissions. Now, in order to go back to your home directory, just type cd without specifying any folder name. If you print your working directory, you will see that your home directory is /root/sandbox. Now list the contents of your home directory. Since you already created a folder and a file in the previous lesson, you should see them there. Now let's go inside the folder Documents and create another folder inside it called Genomes. Move with cd space and the name of the folder, which is Documents. And then create a new folder with the command mkdir followed by a space and then the name you want to give to the new folder, which will be Genomes. You can list the contents of Documents to see if the folder Genomes has been created. Also, you can go to the File Tree section and click on Documents to see the new folder. These are the most common errors when one is learning to use the command line. The first one is the misspelling of files and folder names, especially if they have long names. The shell is case sensitive, so file names have to be typed in exactly as they are. The second common mistake is try to access a file or folder from the wrong location. They can only be accessed if you are in the right path or if you have typed in the correct path to them. For example, the file readme.txt is located under Documents. So if you are in Genomes, you won't be able to access readme.txt unless you type in the path to it. In order to avoid these common errors, you can use the Tab key, which is usually located near the top left corner on your keyboard. The Tab key will complete the name of files and folders based on the files and folders that are in the current directory, or in the path you are typing in. So it avoids spelling mistakes when typing file and folder names, and it also helps you to type much quicker. For example, if we are in Documents and want to change to the directory Genomes, you can just press the Tab key and it will print Genomes, since it is the only folder in your directory. However, if you had more folders, you would have to type the first letter or the first few letters in order to be more specific and the system can complete the correct name. Now try it yourself. Change to the folder Genomes using cd and tab completion and then click Enter. In this lesson, you have learned about the hierarchical architecture of Linux directories, how to print your working directory, how to change among directories, how to write absolute and relative paths, how to create directories and list their contents, and how to use tab completion to avoid spelling mistakes.